With so many of us working from home during this pandemic, there has been a lot of speculation about what the future will hold. What will our downtown core look like? Will we start to see empty office towers as businesses continue to encourage employees to work from home in order to stop the spread of coronavirus? I spoke with one industry insider today who says he doesn't think so, essentially because we are innately social beings who need to be around other people.
I don't see any apocalyptic change for downtown Toronto.
Ben Myers is a real estate consultant who watches the market closely. He says businesses will likely reassess their needs going forward. But even if the amount of required office space does decline, he can picture a conversion of those units into other much needed services.
I think Toronto's a dynamic city, and if worse comes to worse, then some of these older office buildings will be converted to residential or daycares or community centers.
Companies like RBC and other big banks are telling their employees that they will likely keep working from home into 2021 to help stem the spread of COVID-19. Even so, Myers does not see that becoming a long-term trend.
I think people want to work in an office with other people. They like the learning face to face and just the lack of loneliness. I guess the human interaction. I think they do want to go to restaurants and for lunch and have a social experience with their coworkers.
That's not to say that there haven't been some major changes in the housing market since the pandemic. While residential home sales are robust, the rental market in Toronto and the GTA has definitely seen a decline, with rental rates of all property types in June dropping 7% over June of last year, bringing the average down to just over $2,200 a month. That is in part due to all the new condo supply. 2017 saw a record number of sales of new condo units at 35,000. Most of those new builds are nearing completion, which will drive the rates down.
There will be a lot of new units coming on, and those units were bought to a significant extent by investors, and they'll be looking to rent those units out. So there's additional supply and less demand. Some of these buildings are 600 units with 400 of them owned by investors and ready to rent out. So there's a lot of supply there.
There are other factors as well related to the pandemic that makes this a desirable market if you're looking to rent.
Just so many factors. A little bit of that exodus, but less immigration coming in. A lot of the students are taking classes online, so less of the students. There's this whole class of first-time workers that would be starting their new jobs downtown. If they're lucky enough to get one of those jobs, they're probably doing it online.
Coming up, an update on the residential housing market. Are people leaving the city in droves? And if so, what is that doing to house prices in the burbs and beyond? We at City News check in regularly with what is happening with the housing market in Toronto and the GTA. And in spite of months of lockdowns, restrictions, and many businesses closing up shop permanently, the housing market has remained remarkably robust, with Toronto actually showing record prices in June. One industry expert says that is in part because Toronto is such a great city to live in.
Such a dynamic city, and I think so many tech workers are coming here, and I think what's happening south of the border is only going to be good for us. I think when the borders open up again, I think there'll be a flood of people coming that want to come here. The walkability, the livability, the number of cultures.
But there has been a shift. People are expressing the desire to leave the city. Ben Myers conducted an unscientific Twitter poll recently, asking how many of his followers plan to retire outside of Toronto. He was surprised that 42% said yes.
So it just kind of brought on a little bit of a conversation about who's already leaving. And I had an agent from Kingston mention that he's had a bunch of GTA people, not, some boomers, but some young people as well, saying they're going to move to Kingston. Others are, checking out Prince Edward County, although, the waterfront, Brighton, Peterborough, and even down on the other side, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Grimsby, St. Catharines.
Myers says people are indicating, especially in this era, that they need an escape. If not for living full time, at least for a getaway. And while it's too early to say how much this has impacted the real estate market in these outlying areas, as well as within the GTA, if the trend continues, it will likely drive home prices up.
You're seeing more people looking at what can I get for my dollar. So all factors are taken into consideration when they're looking at it. I mean, even if we take into consideration like the condo market, people are in that same zone where they're looking at how far does my dollar stretch and what am I getting for my value. And so they're looking at remote areas and you're seeing that migration.
Lisa Patel says one of the factors contributing to our healthy housing market is historically low interest rates, which makes buying a home more accessible to people than ever before. I'm Pam Seidel, City News.